Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the latest edition of Wow, Lynch, Wow, dedicated to filmmaker David Lynch and inspired by the triumphant return of Twin Peaks. A friendly warning to everyone who isn't caught up on all 8 episodes of the new season of Twin Peaks. There will be spoilers, and they will begin in just a moment, so viewers and listeners be warned. The first detonation of a nuclear weapon happened in White Sands, New Mexico on July 16, 1945 at 5:29 a.m. This test resulted in a nuclear explosion, a devastating display of the destructive mastery of humanity. This test damaged the fabric of our reality in such a way that it seems to have forever changed the rules governing the principles of special entities, where they gained access to an opening into our world. We first see evidence of this when the woodsman entities arrive at the convenience store, and they begin creeping around in unassembled fashion. Following their arrival, we see the entity from the glass box coughing up all kinds of evil, including an orb of sorts that appeared to contain Bob's essence. The giant gets wind of this, and his response is to levitate while emitting his own aura in such a way that he too creates an orb of his own. This one seems to contain the essence of what appears to be Laura Palmer. Fast forward to 1956, where one of these orbs has apparently taken the form of an egg that hatches into some weird frog moth creature thingy that ultimately winds up in the stomach of a lovely young lass. Is this a young Sarah Palmer? Is it someone else entirely? And whoever it is, which of the two orbs entered the mouth of the lovely young lass? Or was it something completely different? Because if it was one of the two orbs, why the hell did it take 11 years to reach Earth? And why were the woodsmen congregated in the desert when this frogger moth creature thing hatched? The other time we saw a congregation of woodsmen was after Bad Coop was shot dead. They came out and they were performing some type of a ritual. Were they saving Bob's essence? Were they serving Bob in order to help Bob save Bad Coop? Or were they serving Bob to help him escape Bad Coop? I was under the impression that Bob and Bad Coop parted ways with his temporary death. But perhaps Bob was doing something to help revive Bad Coop, and that he's in fact still with him. I'm also wondering whether or not Bad Coop's temporary death had any impact on our pal Dougie Coop, and whether this could have temporarily enabled him to regain form where he may have taken his first giant step forward in waking up. But back to Bob, wherever he is now, be it back with Bad Coop or be it elsewhere, we now know that Bob is some sort of byproduct from an even more powerful and evil entity. I'm definitely getting the impression that this entity is to Bob what Morgoth was to Sauron. And I'm also definitely getting the impression that this entity is indeed the Mother. So the entity that killed Sam and our favorite coffee-bearing seductress Tracy, I'm thinking that might be the true powerhouse entity of evil in the entire realm. The mother of all evil. And the giant, by relation to the mother, he represents her polar opposite. If you're buying into what I've said so far, I think this means that the giant and his lady friend are technically more powerful than Bob. But the giant has always followed something that appears to be a very strict code of conduct. He gives Cooper some subtle clues with his fancy riddles, but as he has stated previously, he only reveals what is permitted. And this itself suggests that he either answers to a superior or that he answers with strict accordance to the rulings of some governing body. So even though I think that the giant and his lady friend technically outrank Bob in the sense of a hierarchy, they respect some form of order, whereas Bob doesn't appear to be limited by any set of rules, and it doesn't appear that he's being directed by any type of superior. My take on all this is that the woodsmen are servants to the mother of all evil, and by extension, they become servants of Bob, or perhaps colleagues of Bob would be a more astute description. We know that Bob was with Bad Coop very recently, but his image appeared dimmer and more distant, and quite frankly, I didn't think Bob looked particularly happy with Bad Coop. Everything Bad Coop does is measured and calculated, and it seems to lack the type of chaos that Bob really seemed to excel towards. I think there's a good chance Bob wanted out, but regardless of that, I think Bob may have been summoned out anyway. Summoned by the mother of all evil, whose presence has now been directly felt in our world when she slaughtered poor Sam and Tracy. But I don't think she's fully functional in our realm, and I think she needs Bob's help in order to properly manifest herself into the fabric of our reality. Right now, I'm guessing that the objectives of Bad Coop are at odds with what is best for the mother, and also at odds with Bob's inclination towards instant self-gratification. I think Bad Coop has his eyes on the coordinates for the White Lodge, and I think this directly relates to what Major Briggs once said about his involvement in Project Blue Book, that there was a search going on for the White Lodge, and that the search was driven by impure motives. Where does this all leave us? I think it leads us down the same road from 25 years ago, through Laura Palmer. Whatever Laura whispered to Cooper, and whatever Leland's concern is involving Laura, I believe she is somehow the key that helps connect everything together. And I, for one, still cannot wait to find out exactly what role Laura Palmer has in the new Twin Peaks. That's all I got. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and have a very good night, everyone.